All right. Theoretically working this time. Let's see. Oh, mute myself. Live chat. Go to the control room. All right. But I already set you to live chat. Please come back to live chat. There we go. Now, casual wait for basically no one to show up, since this is not actually an important stream. Chat rate 2. What? There's nobody chatting. How's the chat rate 2? Message Josh. Let him know it's starting. Well, I wonder if this is like Twitch and it counts myself as a viewer. Everything looks fine. If anybody's watching the video recording of this afterwards, probably skip ahead by 10 minutes. That's usually best for most of my stream VODs. And we'll wait and see if anybody other than Josh shows up. In the meantime, decide how I want to do things. Pretty sure I'm going to start off with the post 2020 / post stranded in the lower 48 states stuff. Since I didn't get to get all that many good shots since I've been stuck down here for the last few years. And then we'll jump back over into the pre 2020 stuff where I actually got to go places and got a bunch of good shots in. Oh, wow, 3 people. That's more than I was expecting to show up. Is anybody really there, though? Is Josh there? That's apparently people screaming Josh in the chat, or at least in comments afterwards, has become a meme. And probably before before we start for real, for those who are here within these first 10 minutes before we actually start, and for anyone who's around at the very end, uh, I'll reveal some stuff, some cringe. I'll preemptively designate it, since I said that when I hit 10,000 subs, I do an obligatory YouTuber like "Who am I?" stuff about me video. But thankfully, praise God, uh, I have stalled in my subscribers and have not actually been approaching 10K. I've been flat right around like 9,700, which is good for me. That means I don't actually have to make that video, but I have gradually revealed stuff anyways. So potentially before I start for real in about 5 minutes and at the very end, I might reveal a few quote unquote secret things, some cringe, motivate some unsubs maybe. Josh is here now. and the non-Josh people who were here left. Going for about 5 minutes. All right, I guess I'll wait. Uh, well, I'll wait till the exact hour, so I'll wait 6 more minutes before I actually start. Like I said, I'm gonna start this time basically working backwards. I'm gonna start with these ones, my shots that I've taken since getting stranded back down here in the lower 48 states, or in other words, my post 2020 shots. Since there's not too many good ones post 2020, because I haven't really gotten to do anything since then. And then we'll go back to like the regular ones, to my good stuff in the other folders. Of course, me saying that is making people immediately bounce. Probably going to come back and check in like half an hour or something. Or they just clicked on the stream without reading the title and then found out it's not actually a stream of any real importance. But while the wait lingers, I'll look at some stuff. Prices should have stopped moving for the weekend now. And nothing's really changing. Uh, well, actually, copper and silver are dropping when they really, really shouldn't be. And lithium really shouldn't be dropping. But we'll see how things turn out further on. And it is indeed just Josh, or so it seems. So I'll wait till both the hour and if no one else is here on the hour, then I'll wait until at least another person is here, and then if no one actually shows up within a span of time, I'll just shut down. Yeah, most of the post 2020 stuff was pretty boring. I mean, I did get to do some stuff at the port and was there when like bulk carriers and stuff came in, but apart from that, didn't get to do too much, which is kind of sad since post 2020 is when I got my like new legit photography camera, the Canon SX540, but I haven't got a chance to like really use it on anything. Nope, just 1/1, unless YouTube's lying. All right, well, on this end, YouTube thinks there's two people. Interesting. Are there two people? Is anybody other than Josh there? Supposedly three. All right, down to 2 minutes, and then I'll get started if there is still more than just Josh here. But in the meantime, for those who are here early, I guess, at least while they're still here, you want to find out some stuff? Oh man, look at this. I'm revealing some things, some secrets about my stuff. You probably determine from the fact that I had a friend make a piece of artwork like this for me that I am pretty cringe. So for anyone who is not aware, I am in fact very cringe. I even have my own fictional, we'll call it a anthro world verse thing to show the depths of my cringe with the 60 seconds left we have before I officially start going through photography. So there's some more stuff. Hashtag exposed. All right, since I doubt anyone else is probably going to show up, I think three is what we had last time that I did a photography stream at least. Oh, never mind, it's down to two. But anyways, for the not viewers, start scrolling through stuff. This wasn't like photography. This was just taking some quick snapshots of my now deceased uncle's dogs. This one in front, this is the well-behaved one, whereas the big sausage in the back there uh, is like the troublemaker who likes to wreck stuff and run around and bulldoze things. Got a few shots of a squirrel while I was out in that local area. Again, was walking alongside a small river, and it was a nice day, so there were like basically perfect reflections of the perfect inverted reflections of the trees coming down on the water. Got some longer shots across the span of it there. Actually, I don't. Now, I don't think this was a river. I think this was actually a lake. But you can see a busted old like ancient that looks like a railroad bridge from probably back like before World War II, probably. But to show kind of how dilapidated and non-funded South Carolina is, my parents' state. Their state like half the time doesn't even like remove busted, ancient, decaying infrastructure because they like a lot of times don't even have the money to like move it or anything, so they just leave it there to gradually rust into oblivion. More reflections of the trees upon the water. Got a nice, perfect, rippled, inverted mirror reflection shot of the bridge going over the river or the lake, whichever it was. Some nice, fancy green steel of the bridge. Another reflection. The reflection of said nice, fancy green steel on the water down below. Oh man, this is dangerous territory. It's four of those. That means I didn't actually like comb through and purge this area yet. Nice fancy concrete pillars holding the bridge up. A nice dense mixture of cement and industrial grade sand. Some just regular shots of the water as it looked nice with the transition between reflections and the different hues of blue. You can see as it transitions its way down towards like the corner. And apparently I'm congested like I always am during every stream. Some of these weren't actual like photography shots. Some of these were stuff meant to be used in like my resource videos. Like these were shots I took so that I'd have something to use that contained an image of arsenic treated wood, which makes it look green like that. Some shots of that same bridge from a different angle, and then some wider out shots. More stuff meant to be used in my resource videos. Got a close up shot of a light, and some more infrastructure shots to be used in videos. The cell tower. Got an airliner passing overhead way up there. Uh, Based on the tail and the engines, I believe it was probably JetBlue. Got a nice nuclear blast there also. And I was trying to get a nice crescent moon but the air wasn't like the cleanest, so a lot of the shots were hazy. This one, if I remember correctly, and also just based on the particular patterns underneath, I can tell it was most likely an Aer Lingus flight, which is Ireland's main airline. So that's probably an Aer Lingus A330. It's a wormy thing. That's what happens when you take a shot of a star and you're not holding the camera steady. And this is Orion. Even my SX 540 is not really meant to take like astronomy shots, but I do what I can. I finally managed to get some that looked like not nice, but like okay. Like you can clearly tell that this is Orion. But like I said, the SX 540 isn't meant for astronomy shots. Like there are actual specific cameras that are like dedicatedly designed to that. So if you ever see like really nice uh, actual pictures, like photographs of stars in the night sky, that was those were taken by like long exposure, specially designed cameras that are like built for that purpose. Here, I actually did get some nice shots of the moon, though. A nice, slightly more than half moon. And that was just somebody's green, like, street light in the distance. So I figured I'd just throw it in as like a UFO thing. Some even closer shots of the moon that I'm able to get with the SX 540 now because the SX 540 has a 50x zoom as opposed to my prior camera, which only did 15. And the SX 540 can actually do uh, digitally enhanced, it can get you up to 200x, but reliable imagery, an actual physical zoom, it does up to 50x. I think this was among this little group of moonshots, this was probably the steadiest and the best in terms of crisp detail. See if anybody else showed up in chat. Nebraska gave me money again. That is unwise. Uh, for Milka bars, if you or any German chocolate bar, if you get them in the U.S., uh, you're you're usually going to be buying an item from a package from like a bulk order that was purchased from a country that it would otherwise be sold in, but they chose to like sell it on say Amazon or something for like a U.S. order because they would get more money that way. But no, that is a real that is a that was a real Milka bar. They're made in Milka is made near Freiburg, Germany, whereas Rittersport is made in the Rittersport chocolate factory is in Stuttgart, Germany. Except for the giant Milka bars, the jumbo ones that are like a foot and a half long and 8 inches wide. The jumbo ones are made in Austria or Österreich. I forget which specific part of Austria, though. This is pretty common around my parents' place. A lot of the trees have. I forgot what the actual. I think the proper term is Spanish moss. The lichen stuff that grows on some of the trees and hangs down. I'm pretty sure it's called Spanish moss, but I'm not sure. All right, looks like we're at the shots that I got to take up the Charleston Harbor. So for those who whatever few people are here that that aren't familiar with resource stuff, this is a bulk carrier. It's like an oil tanker in the fact that it's basically hollow, except instead of carrying oil, it has these big trap doors that open up via these cranes. and inside it will carry like some kind of solid substance in bulk orders across the ocean. So like ores like iron ore or bauxite ore, or say grain, or if it's leaving from the US, they'll probably be carrying something like soda ash because the US mines like a huge chunk of the world's soda ash. And of course, somebody was buzzing around on their boat, getting in the way of my shots. So yeah, uh, some of those were just me waiting for this dude to like get out of the way. But yeah, this was a bulk carrier that came in while I happened to be there. This is an actual oil tanker, a small one, but it is an oil tanker. Basically, you can tell because it's flat on the top with really nothing there. So that usually is going to be an oil tanker, whereas the bulk carrier will have the cranes and stuff on top, and a natural gas carrier or an LNG tanker will have big spherical domes on it, or it will have a raised like trapezoidal part up like this, some of the modern ones. And then obviously a cargo ship or container vessel will have a bunch of cargo containers on it. And yeah, this was the bulk carrier getting pushed into its docking position by the tugboats. And that is a paper mill. I don't know whether that one, the one that's like about 20 miles away from my parents' house, I don't know whether that one makes regular paper or whether it makes like toilet paper and tissues or Kleenex and stuff. I don't know specifically which paper products it makes, but that's a paper mill. And I believe those two silos there hold stuff for the cement plant that's nearby. Got some more close-ups and got a few random shots of the water, basically looking pretty smooth, but with some wrinkles, basically kind of looking like a bed sheet. And took different shots at different levels of lighting. This was the smoothest one. Yeah, there you have two big holding facilities for like gravel or industrial grade sand or cement ready powder. As you can see, it goes it either in some ports it comes up the conveyor there and then gets directed into either of them, or I believe Charleston actually like sends it out, so it will be going down into a weighing bulk carrier. Yeah, I got a lot of shots of that one as it was making its way in. Most of which obviously were, you can now tell, were zoomed. So this is zoomed back out to a normal distance. And this is not the Ravenel Bridge. This is just a bridge that's there. I don't know what the name of that one is, but now working backwards to getting views of it from its other side. And the red line is usually, if it's full, the red line is what will be underwater, and the blue is what will appear above water. So if the red is up and visible like this on a oil tanker or a bulk carrier or any kind of large ship, that means it's empty. It's not loaded with anything. I guess there's its number if you want to look it up at any particular point, and you can see some of the crew. There's the lifeboat. Stop popping up, bottom bar. I'm not asking you to show up. And as we're backtracking, we're going backwards to where it was further and further, or technically closer to me, but further and further away from the actual dock. So it's going to be getting closer in the shots as we go back. But you can see you can see them there. The trapdoors are getting opened by the cranes, getting ready to load it up with stuff. Probably, given it's Charleston, probably industrial grade sand or like a bunch of cement mix or something. Oh, damn, that one is way bright. Let me delete that one. Yeah, it definitely looks like I didn't actually purge this entire set because I haven't really been as motivated since I've been trapped down here, since I haven't gotten to really like do any decent photography. You can the further back it comes, you can catch some decent reflections of the crane pillars on the water too. And there they are. I believe there you can see specifically, you can actually see the crane hook there, hooked into one of the loop things to pull the trapdoors open. And I There we go. There's some much closer, further out ones with some nice inverted reflections. I forgot I actually took this many shots of it. But it wasn't the biggest, but it was pretty big. The mega like super sized ones that are like twice the size are the kind that you'll see going to like Australia to pick up iron ore or going to Brazil to pick up bauxite slash aluminum ore. Some specific shots of the inverted reflected crane towers. Uh, and just some side view of the actual like crew slash control. Uh, I'm just gonna call it a tower, like in an aircraft carrier. There is a proper term for it on a regular marine vessel, but I don't recall what it is off the top of my head. Yeah, there you go. You can see the crane parts hooked into the latch there to pull the doors open, and that one on the side. So there's an actual good shot of you can see the mechanism set up to do it. There we go. There's a nice lengthwise shot I got of it as it was like just passing by. So even though this isn't one of like the humongous ones, it was still big. You can get a nice scale of that here, at least lengthwise, and a nice even clearer portion of reflection there as it makes its way backwards. It wasn't actually moving backwards, obviously. We're just going backwards through the shots and off spraying some water. There's some of the crew just chilling on the bow there. And there's the actual meter depth markings for the I think the term is draught line, but the red portion that's normally meant to be underwater. And there you can see the anchor, and with some of the crew there, you can see the size of like the anchor compared to a person. Still making its way further back, and actually the further back it goes, the nicer and clearer the reflections of the crane towers get. And the longer the reflections get. Just oh, destroyer. I don't know, for some reason my mind blanked out and I thought you said destroyed. But destroyer. I've been on decommissioned World War II destroyers, but and a battleship and aircraft carriers. I haven't actually gotten to go on any like still live like active ones or anything. And everybody's gone except Josh, obviously. Oh yeah, I got to go. I've been on uh, obviously decommissioned World War II submarines, and also what am I forgetting? What am I forgetting? When I visited Australia back when I was 13, uh, at the Great Barrier Reef, I went on a viewing. Our group went on a viewing submarine. It didn't actually like dive down to the bottom or anything. It just went under a little bit. But I have gotten to go on a submarine, just not like a military submarine, or at least not a military submarine that was in active service under the water. Backing its way further out, I think this is approaching the end of the set I had of it. Yeah, because it's getting way back there now. Let me chug some water before my congestion gets too bad. Back, back, back. And you can see some of the container offloading cranes there in the background. And I think this is as far back as it went. Yeah, because that's about when it was. That's about when I noticed it, because it wasn't blaring its horn or anything as it was coming in. It was actually being pretty quiet. And of course, a boat and a bimbo getting in the way. Get off my screen. There we go. There's a nice frontal view of it with the tank crane, the crane towers kind of stacking up to basically make it look like a rhino horn, I guess. Like it's kind of a giant rhino or something. Yeah, sorry for the sheer amount. Just when I saw this coming in, because obviously I like bulk carriers and oil tankers and container vessels, I just kind of started spamming shots of it. So that's why there's so many. Yeah, you can see the heat exhaust from its from the exhaust thing coming up from its fuel oil engines. And back and back and back. All right. Out of that, this is the park that's near the Charleston Harbor, and I think that's supposed to be waves or something. This is quote unquote a modern art sculpture because they're getting put up everywhere now. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be like splashing water or something. There's one of the tugboats heading out to meet the incoming ship or other incoming ships. And as you can see from the exhaust vents here, the reason tugboats are despite being looking small at least are so powerful is what you don't see right down here where the inverted image of the engine vents are is the tugboat engines, at least compared to the size of the tugboat, are absolutely massive and enormously powerful. And that is a uh, I usually just call them harbor patrol vessels. I know they have a specific like proper term they're supposed to be called by. Oh, and you could see an excavator in the background there digging up some stuff. There's some shots of some various cranes that were sitting around. Uh, I think this was probably on a weekend, or it might just have been like after 5 in the afternoon or something. Because another difference between this state where my parents live and my home back up in Alaska is down here, work is construction work is like really lax. Apart from not always being the best quality, it's conducted like 9 to 5, uh, weekdays only, and that's it. Whereas back up home, construction and infrastructure stuff is worked on like round the clock, 24/7, 365, which is why we're able to like do so much stuff. Like we pave our roads and repair the railways and roads and buildings after like earthquakes in only like a matter of days or weeks. But yeah, you can see the sheer like scale and difference between the the crane versus the actual like vehicle carrying it. And a lot of these construction and heavy equipment vehicles are, at least of the ones that are used in the U.S., a lot of them are made in Mexico or Canada. Some more shots of the crane and all its different wiring. And then before these, I think I was doing, yeah, some shots of the bridge, that other bridge. So I got just a few shots of traffic passing along it, primarily to use in my resource videos for stuff. And then some zoom in shots of a large container vessel that was docked at the port. And there, obviously, you get a much closer shot of the offloading cranes that you saw previously. So I don't know whether that one was coming or going, but it was sitting there waiting to get either loaded or offloaded. Or if it was getting loaded, it was basically completely loaded by that point. And then some more just general shots of the open area. And here is part of where my SX540 shines really good because it is able to do like really nice macro close-up shots of like really small scale stuff. So if you didn't know, this is sand. So this is what sand looks like if you get really up close. It looks beige or yellow to you, especially from farther up. But actually, since if you've ever held like a quartz or silica crystal before, which a lot of sand is similar to, you'll know it's actually clear. When you go down to the small scale like this, you'll see that sand grains are actually pretty clear, but collected together from a distance, the way the light like bounces around within them and stuff, they end up appearing with that beige color you're used to seeing a lot of sand as. And also, as you can tell by the fact that the grains are not smooth, they have all kinds of different shapes and sizes and edges and stuff. This is industrial grade sand. So this is the kind of sand that's actually used to make concrete and the like. Industrial grade sand is the only type of sand that is actually useful to us. All the other sand isn't really good for anything except for just extracting silicon itself, the element from. And industrial grade sand is specifically water-worn sand. Wind-worn sand does not work because the wind wears it too smooth and too small as well. And that particular industrial grade sand was not being used industrially. It was in a giant sandbox, obviously, but the type is still that is still the same type as industrial grade sand. There's those cranes in the distance, some more modern art, sculpture stuff, and then some just general plants and area stuff. Here is, I don't recall if this is granite or not, but this was one of the big like stones that was on the riverside that I did a really close up shot with. I don't recall what like type of rock this was. I think it, I think it was granite, but I'm not sure. Some more area stuff, Spanish moss hanging off things, some in motion shots, which my SX540 is better at than my prior camera, of a lot of the water from the water fountains in motion and the various splashes, along with the motion of the shadows and stuff. Obviously, some of it still blurs, but the SX540 is a lot better at getting like clear shots of a lot of stuff that's in motion while it's in motion, instead of like heavily focusing on one specific like item while the rest just goes blurry. And there I caught the water uh, arcing like that, kind of like it had was an arrow or a harpoon or something. And they have a nice like one that constantly sprays the water in like a like nice perfect arch that you can wander under. That when you get a still shot of it, it actually looks kind of like it's just frozen ice, but it is actually water in motion. Yeah, and here's some of the larger big rocks that were on the shore side from farther away. Not the same ones. I'm not sure what types. I'm not sure what type these are. I'm pretty sure the other ones I showed with close-up stuff was granite. And there's the paper mill and the bridge again before the bulk carrier showed up, and just across from it, the various cranes for container vessels and stuff. Oh man, that one's too bright. Delete that one. Here was a pelican soaring overhead. I was able to get a nice shot where you can actually see the end of the wing curve and his different feathers unfurled. There we go, with a nice upper shot as well, or with upswept wings. There we go. There's a really nice one. You can really see the feather separation there. So I was really pleased with those when I was able to get them. At least I think it was a pelican. I'm not sure. And then farther and farther off, because he slash she was coming at me. So the farther back we scroll, the farther away they get. And then some earlier shots of vehicles crossing the bridge. Oh, and there's the same pelican or same whatever type of bird in case it wasn't. Oh, this one I forgot to mention this type of ship when I was listing the main like transporter types. This is called a car arc. So for cars not made in the U.S. that get shipped to the U.S. Or shipped between any countries, this is how they get transported. This is called a car arc. So it's basically kind of like a parking garage, except without the like 12 to 15-foot high ceilings on each level. The levels are shorter, so they're not that tall in order so that they can have more levels and cram more cars on. But basically, inside is basically like levels and levels and levels of essentially a parking garage where they'll store thousands and thousands of cars in one of these ships, and then the ship will take it to whatever the destination country is. Ew, Yeah, I did not do a thorough purge through these. Let's delete that one. And then just some more water shots. And there's some of those cranes in the distance. Some more water, looking like bedsheet shots. There's a crane. This one was a lone crane by itself, not or these ones were by themselves. They're not part of the same group that you saw earlier. They were working on a different project, and that is a different bulk carrier that was parked in a or docked in a different portion of the port. But my view of that one was a bit obscured by other stuff in the way, and that's what the obviously that's what the big trap doors look like, or the big vault doors when they're fully raised open. And here's just some of the rocks partially submerged. More bridge shots, more crane shots, a bit closer shots of the container vessel offloading cranes slash onloading cranes, obviously. Then a few more of the not silos. I forgot what those particular things are called. But basically, some more scattered shots of the container vessel and some of the other stuff around the port. And I think this is about where these ones end, and I forget what or where I was before, or what came before these ones. Oh yeah, I was doing flower shots. These ones weren't too good because the lighting in that particular like moment wasn't exactly the best. But I have a few close-up flower shots from a different point that are a fair bit better. This is just some more like I said, some of these are more just infrastructure shots that aren't meant to be like photography. They're just for me to use in videos. Here's some actual like some of the decent flower shots I was able to get, some macro close-up shots. You can actually see like the individual like details and stuff on the flower petals. There's a Delta Boeing 717 off in the distance. Bumblebee. I got a few shots of a friendly little fat bumblebee who's just perusing around the flowers, going about her business. Fat, fat, fatty, fat. And then some more solo flower shots. And I don't, I don't think that's the same bumblebee because the abdomen shape is different. So I think this is a separate bumblebee. There's the flower bush that those flowers were a part of, with some more. Yeah, these ones were even better. Like you can see the individual glistenings coming from like the individual, like nearly microscopic water or dew droplets on the flower. So, like I said, the SX540 is really good at getting decent like close-up macro shots of stuff. And I guess I'll check chat in 2 minutes. I'm trying to check chat like every 5 minutes, but I'm failing at that. I don't know if that was one of the same other two or another Bumblebee, but either way, more Bumblebee. then more infrastructure shots, more traffic shots for me to use in videos when talking about either population density or oil consumption levels. Charleston, where I am unfortunately stuck and have been stuck since 2020. And that is a, oh, I forgot. I forgot, not dash Qs. Dash Qs are actually like good aircraft. That is, ATR, I think. I think that, at least the type is ATR. I don't recall the specific designation, but it's an okay turboprop, but it's not designed the best. And just some random infrastructure shots and shots of a aircraft going up. Based on nose, the way it's going down sharply like that, that is, and the size of the engines, that's a Delta Embraer. Really hazy, hot, evil summer day, southwest, heading off into the skies in the distance. Some close-up shots of bark when I was going through a small set of woods. They try to call it a forest, but it's basically just woods. You actually have to go back up home to Alaska to find a forest. But yeah, these are some forest shots, random bridge, and some close up of the steel. This is a particular particular galvanizing type. You can still see the speckles of it of the zinc coating, but it's I believe this type where it has more visible where a lot of the straight line striations are still visible. That's not hot dip galvanizing. That's a different type of galvanizing. Then some vertical upward shots of the trees, some of the forest ground cover, more tree bark. Oops, I blew past my check the chat time. Oop, lost Nebraska, but we have, in theory, two other people, non-Josh people at least. Yeah, physical photography is pretty much gone. The gap that physical photography created in silver demand, because physical photography used to eat up about 70 million ounces of silver a year. The gap that physical photography has left in silver demand is what solar panel manufacturing was able to fill instead of creating excess demand up until now. Now it's been creating excess silver demand and has gradually been depleting the world's silver inventories. However, silver prices are still not actually reacting to that. They're being really stupid and apparently don't want to actually react until the very last second. So we're going to end up most likely with a brick wall to the face effect, pricing wise. Ooh, some fake out. Is it night or is it day shots? And more just general upward shots of trees, some greenery shots, a bumblebee in the shade. Bumble on, bumblebee. I do like bees now. I didn't used to. I like bees, particularly bumblebees and honeybees. Still have quite the issue with wasps and hornets, though. But I no longer have a like actual phobia of them. As I said in a past stream, I will now actually engage them in melee combat, usually with a sandal or a flip flop. The hornets or wasps, I mean, not bees. I leave bees alone because bees are fine. Hornets and wasps are evil demons, though. Oh, look, a self-branding shot. Delta, high overhead, random gas price sign to use in my videos. Allegiant Airways aircraft was way too far away for me to get like a clean shot of it. And some random shots along the roadway for me to use in videos at some point. Some tree crown shots or a canopy, or a canopy, I believe is the proper term to use. More shots meant for me to use in videos of some brass, as one of the most common uses of brass. A combination metal, an alloy of copper and zinc, is for plumbing and various plumbing fixtures. And then some generic cloud shots as the clouds were just surrounding the area I was in at that moment. Some more flower shots, macro flower shots, I mean. Another cloud window closing in, like I showed pictures of last time. If if anyone didn't see the first one, I've taken about like 20,000 photography shots over the course of doing photography for the last 8 years. The first 10,000 or so we went through in a earlier video that instead of being called Photography Showcase Stream Part 2 is just called Photography Showcase Stream. So if you want to see the first one, that one's out there. Some close-up of bricks and the grout that binds them, which is kind of cement. I mean, you can see the industrial grade sand grains in there. Some more brick shots. Some in the dark shots of a green compact fluorescent tube. So what you are seeing is mercury gas, mercury vapor with an electric current being run through it, and then the light coming out through green tinted glass. Shots I tried taking in the dark, but like I said, the SX540 is really good, but it's not meant for night shots. Some hazy close-up stuff of the moon. But yeah, it is good for zooming in though. Like you can get a lot of the lunar details here. Even though it was pretty hazy, so the haze was affecting things, and also the moon was lighting up the haze in the air itself, obviously, and so that was giving it the like grainy, distorted aura. And then some daytime lunar shots in which you can still see plenty of the craters and details and everything. Moon, moon, moon. Random shots used in videos of, in this case, aluminum, as one of its uses is for downspouts and gutters. More stuff to use in videos. Brass plated with chromium in plumbing fixtures. And then the like hose tube pipes that run from the actual plumbing pipes up to faucets in sinks and stuff. That is copper that is also like the brass, like just like the brass underneath it, coated with an outer plating layer of chromium. More brass, some steel to use in videos. This is generic, most cutlery or flatware is generic stainless steel, which means it is about 70% iron, 18% chromium, 10% nickel, and then 2% manganese and carbon. some more brass, aluminum, found commonly in window frames, aluminum, used commonly in packaging as well, steel, but with an outer layer of tin plate. You can usually tell it's tin plate by this particular like TV static slash ripply ocean wave appearance that you can see on it. You can usually tell it's tin plate, uh, or or also a different kind. If it's tin plate with an added like chromium layer, then it will be really reflective, like the actual side of the cylinder of cans. Random vehicle shots and stuff to use in my videos. More basically made for video stuff. Oh look, there's beryllium right there. That is copper with beryllium added. That's what makes it look like gold, basically. So for really small, like low power batteries, like batteries for phones, the connectors will be made of beryllium copper. The amount of beryllium is really tiny. Like it is a nano, practically pico scale coating on the outer edge, like just a few atoms thick. But there is that is beryllium. And a lot of this section was just stuff to use in videos. Oh, speaking of Milka, there's some Milka. Milka Alpenish. Some Zantac, back when it was still more effective ranitidine, but ranitidine got canceled because it gives people cancer if you overdose on it constantly. Like literally everything in life will give you cancer if you overdose on it. But enough people sued so that they banned ranitidine, and now it's just famotidine instead, which is way less effective. Mucinex, which is thankfully still guaifenesin for the time being, at least. More stuff to just use in videos showing pieces of like infrastructure and inside buildings to show in like videos when I'm talking about what's used where and in what way. Stuff for videos, stuff for videos, stuff for videos, brass for videos, a mirror for videos, LED light bulbs to use in videos, video stuff. Uh, Probably video stuff because I was trying to show the adhesive from that extremely strong paint or tape. Video stuff, video stuff. LED lights, an LED lighting panel in the under the overhang of a gas station. The actual pump hose at a gas station. Again, mostly stuff that is not meant to be photography, but meant for me to use in videos. Did manage to catch some dust. The light like actually reflecting on dust midair. More brass and just video stuff, primarily video stuff. Oh, hey, look, that's me. There's more video stuff. Yeah, I think this whole section right here was video stuff. Yeah, there's the individual LED diode within the flashlight there. Oh, look, this is the battery that's in my camera actually, and there's some more beryllium copper. More stuff to use in videos. You've actually probably seen this one before, but looking at stuff specifically, here you have silver, these connections here, or these particular connections at least. The rest of these are mostly solder, which is primarily tin as the bulk material, and also the particular soldering alloy for electronics also uses a bit of silver along with bismuth, and I'm forgetting what the other composition component was. Yeah, stuff for videos. Oops, it's freezing on me, so we have to go out. Only 2 or 3 people, as expected, but all right, so going back out and go back down to that area. Again, more stuff for videos. This is an electric motor. I took this out from inside of a shaving razor, I believe. You can see all the copper coiled up there. More stuff, primarily just to use in videos. Actually, yeah, I think, oops, did not mean that. Did not mean to X off my own stream, but let me get back in here. But yeah, I was going out there to skip past a lot of that stuff because a huge chunk of that is just stuff to use in videos. Yes, soldering alloy is cancer if you consume it. Live chat, or switch over. But viewers already experienced like an extreme delay. That's nothing new. Oh man, my rate did really fall. Dang, that was harsh. What is going on? All right, be forewarned, my internet might be having issues then. I'm going to take that as a warning sign. Some of these back here were shots I took on board the old World War II aircraft carrier that's docked in Charleston Harbor. There's the destroyer. So a lot of these, this whole section is shots from either inside the aircraft carrier or shots on the deck of the various uh, display aircraft that are on there. This is looking down the nose of an A-18. Some side shots of the destroyer. An old F-14 Tomcat. I forget what those two are. Some old. You can see the cylinder head stuff there. This is an old actual like piston prop aircraft. This, I believe, is an A6 Intruder, I think. This one, I have no recollection of what that one is. There's another Intruder looking straight on the belly mouth there for the engine intake. Obviously, the engine has been removed, but oh, there's the guns. Yeah, some of these I don't recall what the particular aircraft were. There's an old, I believe the term was a Sea King. I think at least an old Sea King helicopter. But yeah, basically after these ones on the aircraft carrier, this is about the last of the stuff. Technically, the earliest stuff that I got shots of since being stranded down here in the lower 48 states again. So after this, we're switching out back to like much more interesting, cooler shots that I got to take back up home in Alaska and also just roaming around places. But basically, some old bombs with nothing in them anymore, obviously. But they do have at least some bomb models, some ordnance sitting around. An old F4. My mother actually maintained engines on these back when she was in the Air Force in the 80s. F4s and carriers, and then her and my dad both did F-15s, which is my favorite aircraft because it's the combat aircraft that I grew up near because I grew up on Cape Cod near Otis Air Force Base. Some close-ups of galvanized steel. So you can see the speckled pattern that the outer zinc coating makes on it. And a huge chunk of concrete. Look at all that industrial grade sand embedded into that structure. This is holding up the Ravenel Bridge. That's a ladder slash staircase, just for you to get an idea of how big it is. That's one, I think they're called pylons. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's one of the pylons holding up the Ravenel Bridge with some massive steel slash titanium cables. And there's the bridge from far out. Actually, there's even farther out, so you can see like the whole span of it. And I think it was the longest bridge in the world for like a couple of years right after it was built. But then it got surpassed by some bridge in China somewhere, or the longest bridge of its kind, at least, like a suspension bridge. Because I know there's like a 7 mile bridge between some of the Florida Keys Islands, but that's not like a bridge in that sense. It's basically just pillars holding up individual concrete chunks. Looking down the length of the aircraft carrier's flight deck, and then some shots across the water at Charleston itself. Look at all that forever ingrained in its use industrial grade sand. More F4 stuff. The adjustable engine nozzle of the F4. You can see the gaps between those things. Those flaps there, those can expand to make it wider or contract in to make the exit nozzle less wide. Control tower or a command tower of the aircraft carrier. And looking in through where the engine would be, but obviously all these have had their engines removed. Radar replica in the red room of how stuff was during operations back in the war, and then some of the like battleship replicas and stuff, and also some of the control stuff on the inside of the aircraft carrier, deep down towards like the engine room and stuff. Yeah, and for like how they fit like so many people in there back in the day when like it took like way more people to run the ship than it does now. Now it takes way less because a lot more stuff is like automated and or human controlled via computer systems so that way less crew members can like operate way more of the ship as opposed to needing like an individual person for like every set of like levers every 2 feet of something or something. Basically, this is actually even more spacious than if I recall what it really was. A lot of times, instead of three here, it would be like 4 or 5 bunks stacked, and you'd have like 1.5 feet between you and the bunk above you, and it was just crammed full of it. So that's how back in the days when it took like 3 or 4 thousand dudes to run the ship. That's how they were able to cram so many in there. Whereas nowadays it's usually like 2,000 or something. And I think like destroyers and stuff used to be like way up into the hundreds. Whereas depending on the type, depending on how modern of a model now, It's down to anywhere between like 100 something and 200 something for a destroyer. And they have some actual battle mock-up replicas of specific fights. And on the aircraft like storage deck underneath the flight deck, they had some random other displays, like a few random space items too. There's an Avenger, I think. Yeah, TBM Avenger, a Corsair. Uh, the one to the right is for this one. So this is not a Hellcat before you get confused. This is a Corsair. The Hellcat is the one to the left, which we should come to soon. What? Don't tell me I deleted the pictures of the Hellcat. No. All right, well, here's some stuff from the Destroyer. Some big old rusting iron anchor chains. There's the sub. This sub was finally put off limits. It was basically rusting its way through the hull, and uh, they intended to. I don't know if they've done it yet, but they intended to take it out off the coast of Florida and reef it, which is when they blow some charges and sink a ship in shallow water. And it basically all the coral and stuff will grow on it really easily, and it will turn into a reef. As the U.S. military is actually slowly, uh, not covertly, because it's not like they're hiding it, but no one pays attention to it. But the U.S. Navy at least is slowly trying a few hundred meters of ship length at a time. Basically, every time they sink or reef a ship, they're trying to actually rebuild the coral reefs that actually used to be around portions of the U.S. coast, particularly Florida, that were destroyed by human activity during the later 1800s and earlier 1900s. The Navy's actually like not covertly, but not broadcastingly trying to actually like slowly, artificially like restore the Florida reef system. Like I said, a few hundred meters of reef length at a time. Every time a really old ship that's been decommissioned for a while and is basically its hull has like rusted out to where it's not safe to have as a museum piece anymore. They take it out, blow some charges to sink it, and it drops down to the shallow bottom and gradually becomes a reef within a few years. Some on top of the destroyer guns there, torpedo tube launch or torpedo launchers. From surface vessels, this is how torpedoes get launched from surface vessels. They're basically in what essentially is like a giant T-shirt. If you're familiar with like concerts or public events where they have the T-shirt gun that shoots T-shirts out of like a tube launcher, that's basically how torpedoes get launched from surface vessels instead of submarines where they have torpedo tubes. On surface vessels, they basically have a giant version of the T-shirt gun, except instead of a T-shirt, it shoots you a torpedo. So instead of getting like a prize T-shirt from whatever group you're or a concert person you're getting you want to get from one from, instead you just die. And there's some plastic replicas of the food they would cook. Although knowing Josh would probably still eat it. I think this is close to some of the last stuff. This was deep within, like the near the engine and bowels of the destroyer. Mindoro, that's one of the Philippine islands. I actually need to do another geography stream again soon, since I'm up to 170 countries now that I know all the states and or provinces slash islands of. The geography quest is almost complete. It looks like I'll actually be able to say I completed it within 2 years of beginning it because I believe I started in May or June of 2021. And this should be the last stuff from on these ships. And then you start back tracing. Yep, there we go. All right, we're off the ships now, and this was the stuff going up to the ships. And then after this, there's like a few shots of Bindi from after I got stuck here, and then we go to the actual nice and interesting photography. And this was just a sightseeing helicopter that was buzzing around. But yeah, the SX 540 is awesome with the still shots. So basically, I can catch the helicopter rotor blades almost like perfectly still in motion. Yeah, that one's even better. Like you can't even see the blur indicating that it's moving. That's how awesome the in motion capture from the SX 540 model is. Guns, an egret. I think that was an egret. It might be a crane. But yeah, he was there, or she, just bending their neck around in weird shapes. That's that stuff. There we go. There's some more. I think they were aware that I was doing shots of them because they stopped actually like fishing or trying to get food. Instead, they were just like moving their head around awkwardly, like doing different poses like that. Like that's like a double question mark tying a knot with your neck right there. Ooh, there's a close up of some steel cable. Look at that shiny steel. There's the stuff from far off. Stuff, yeah, stuff meant to be used in my videos. So then skip past that. And that's a bunch of stuff meant to be used in videos. All right, here's some of the last like regular stuff. Found an ant killing a bigger ant and dragging its body around. That leaf betrayed me. It blew away right as I was taking this picture. We got some shots of some individual lone leaves lying on the ground. Some more flower close-ups, some more steel close-ups, uh, cloudscapes, puffy cotton cloudscapes. Skip past those to these. Hazy, really hot day. So that's what's obscuring some of the details of that Southwest aircraft. But I did get a sun glistening shot right there. And then off, out, and away. Got some nice rays coming from behind the clouds there. And then just a general sweep around getting some decent, nice looking cloudscape shots when I was out in a park. And some Canadian geese that were just strutting around. Yeah, cloudscapes and geese is what that day at the park was. Puffy, puffy cotton clouds. Actually, these were storm clouds. They were or they were going to become storm clouds. It was slowly gathering up, but they made for really nice cloudscape shots, especially some of the ones like these. And then that's just traffic stuff to use in videos. C-17, the best tactical airlifter ever. A silhouette version of it as it was passing in front of those fluffy clouds there. Uh, Not the best moon shots. There we go. There's some good moon. Uh, Different angle facing this time, so you got a lot more of the Maria surface. And a nice, perfectly, like almost dead center framing there for that one. Those got some morning sunrise rays breaking through this gap between these trees, and you can really see it giving like some white fuzzy outline to the leaves here on a lot of them. And then cutting that focus and instead putting the light like this and getting the focus on these branches here. Some stupid private jet. And yeah, this is basically the end of the post 2020 stuff. So we're about to get into the better stuff once more. But here's a kitty, Tuxedo Kitty. He lives across the street from my parents, or not directly across, but across at an angle. And he realized I was taking pictures of him. That's why he started different ways to give me different angles. Tuxedo Kitty. Some shots there. Blah, blah. 750 megawatts of output, I believe. Oh yeah, I forgot. On that day, there were three container vessels all lined up, getting offloaded. So this was stuff from actually on the bridge itself. Some more speckled patterns of galvanized steel. A nice shot straight down interior way of the various concrete pillars or pylons. A nice upward vertical shot of one of the primary suspension towers, or suspension diamonds, rather. I think that's it. Just a few more of the ships. Blinding the start of a an explosion there, obviously. There's the aircraft carrier from a ways away from the bridge. Traffic shots for videos. More of the same. More of the same, mostly. Oh, yeah. A few of these nice shots of the water on a very shallow sloping descent into it. So it gives you like a warped look where you could perceive it as either water or as like sand with ripples across it. Some more moon stuff. And there's the kitty. Kitty, kitty, kitty. Yep, kitty was flopping around for me because all kitties know that Michael loves kitties. Yeah, there's some more of my decent moonshots from in a different like kind of lunar lighting. And Bindi, this is Bindi. She is my my current cat. Technically, she's my parents' cat because legally they own her, but she loves me the most, so therefore she's my cat. Uh, She has been in the picture since March or April of 2018, because that was after Jessie died. Jessie was my cat and effectively my older sister, basically. Uh, from she Jessie was born April 15th, 1977, and died on April 15th, 1997, and died on February 19th, 2018. And Bindi here uh, is nowhere near as mature in mentality as Jessie. Bindi is kind of just a destructive toddler, basically, even though she's almost 6 years old now. Yeah, you can see she spotted something. You can see it in the eyes. Sweet little Bindi. Oops. Now back to like actual photography. If I remember correctly, where we left off last time was right where I went, right around here, where I went down to my parents' place in 2017 during the summer. Where I started out with just some random grass shots, shadow shot on the sidewalk, Hickory Trace Drive, hashtag doxed, some broken concrete to show you how well upkept my parents' state, South Carolina, is. There's Jessie, my elder sister slash prior cat. These were some of the last shots I got to take of her, because this was the summer before she died. And there she is, gazing at her little brother slash her son, since she's the one who took care of me for most of my life, relaxing her claws in her old age. Sweet Jessie. She was curled up at the top of my stairs in my room because obviously I was her little brother slash son, so I was her favorite as well. So she was always up in my room. There's a silhouette, a clean, crisp silhouette of a C-17 passing through some sunlit clouds, and there, creeping its way behind a tree and crossing, doing some jump rope over the power lines. And here's some shots. This is the power plant that you saw from a distance just a few minutes ago. So this is actually at the power plant itself with the coal smoke plume. Got a bunch of nice in motion shots of it. The actual power lines. And there, when it's coming straight out of the power plant, it actually is still so strong that you actually can hear the buzz in the power lines. Like, not even joking, you can actually hear it. More aluminum wire lines. As for those who don't know, power transmission lines are actually made of aluminum wire, not copper wire. Aluminum is really conductive. Copper is more conductive, obviously. Copper is better, but copper is much heavier than aluminum, and aluminum is way more abundant. So for the much longer lengths of wire and wires that have to be like suspended, those actually use aluminum for the wire instead of copper. Once the wires leave the transmission network, once they go into the ground or into a building, then it is copper. But some general stuff around the power plants, all the converters and transformers and everything. That's the big conveyor belt that carries the coal up to where it drops down into the furnace. railway tracks, some nice shots looking down the rails. And I guess random serial number for this individual rail parts if you want to look it up or something. Some rust building up as it slowly oxidizes. There's some coal, some nice bituminous coal. The coal that goes into my parents' power plants comes from Kentucky. So there's some nice bituminous coal from Kentucky. Whereas back up home, the coal that gets used in our power plant in Fairbanks comes from Healy, which is about 80 miles down to the south, uh, up in the mountains. So this is what ancient condensed plant matter looks like. Enormously volumetrically energy dense. There's some stained glass windows. That was the base chapel at the Charleston Air Force Base, and there's Southwest, some more Jesse stretching, Jesse, sweet Jesse with her old eyes closed. Jesse giving a single claw out, her thumb claw there. This is that same park next to the port. Some flags blustering in the wind. Yeah, those were some nice in motion flag shots. Rocks slowly submerging. Naval vessels. Okay, so for anyone who was at the previous stream, the coming like upcoming future conflicts and war stream, these are auxiliary vessels. The thing I was talking about that constantly bring supplies to and from fleets and to and from landed amphibious forces. This is a row of auxiliary vessels here. So this is what the U.S. has a huge fleet of these, backing up its actual navy and its amphibious landing. If we ever do amphibious landings, this is part of why the U.S. is actually so capable of doing stuff. Especially this plus our strategic airlifting fleet, where we have literally hundreds of massive airlift vehicles, aircraft, strategic airlifters. Whereas most other countries that people falsely try to consider military superpowers, namely Russia and China, the former of which has clearly proven that they're not and never really were, except in the fact that they have nukes. And China is likely more competent than Russia, is likely more competent than Russia. However, I will wait to see how they perform in Taiwan, because that's going to fail. But how hard they fail will depend on their level of competency. Granted, I'm pretty sure they're not as competent as even I used to give them credit for, because they've had to cancel military exercises constantly because their soldiers actually literally like refuse to train because because it's despite all those ads they make with a bunch of angry Chinese dudes screaming while holding rifles in the air. Uh, Apparently, they don't actually like do anything. They immediately like demand that their exercises get canceled. So they don't actually get to train as much as we thought they did. And also, they their only times that modern Chinese military has seen combat has been has been a few times in the 2010s, one of which was in Sudan. Not even against like a heavily armed force, like just against terrorists with some AK-47s. And I kid you not, you can look it up if you want for yourself. The Chinese forces that were there abandoned their position and ran away. Like they got in their vehicles and just ran. Like literally in armed vehicles, like APCs and IFEs and everything. They still just ran away. Like they did not actually like they couldn't handle actually being in a fight apparently. So I have a I'm pressing X to doubt when it comes to China's potential military performance. But this is like the reason that ours is so much more logistically effective. Russia basically doesn't have a real navy anymore, but they also didn't have an auxiliary fleet and didn't have like strategic airlifters, or not a lot of them at least. And the ones they do have keep crashing, like on the runway. When they try to bring supplies into Ukraine to back up their invasion, they keep having their airlifters like just have sudden engine failures after taking off because they've been so poorly maintained. China has a number of strategic airlifters, and they should be decent because they're an espionage copy of the C-17, but they don't really have an auxiliary fleet, and they barely have an amphibious landing fleet, so it's not really going to go well. But anyways, going on from that, there's some of the cranes. There's some Coast Guard cutters, more cranes. Oh yeah, and the saws. At least I think those were cutter saws. Because you can see how old and dilapidated this ship looks. So I believe this one was being taken apart. Like you can really see the age in it. Aged ship. For some reason in the park, there's these random lounge chairs slash modern art sculpture things. The boardwalk, the actual river itself, Southwest going over. I'm not sure if this serves a purpose or if it's supposed to be like art. It has some spotlights up here, but there's this big like steel mesh net thing that just hangs here in this spot for some reason. Some faraway shots. Like I said, this was back with my old camera, so I couldn't do the kind of zooming that I can do with the SX540. And that was a departing container vessel, at least I think. That one was heading out. Maersk. It's all Maersk. I'm not sure if the ship is Maersk or not. Some shots across the way of the aircraft carrier. Some shots from under the bridge with the water basically kind of looking like some kind of metal foil in the particular coloring and with the way the light is shining off of it because it looks, grayish silver here and is crinkled and has all the light reflecting off of it. So I liked how some of these came out because it almost looked like it was literally like aluminum foil or something. Some random clouds, not as good as some of the others though. The car arc, told you guys about that a while back, or a while back in the stream, I mean. And more cloud shots, less zoomed slash more zoomed stuff of the aircraft carrier. Yeah, there's a spot underneath the bridge that you can just go to for free and hang out and take pictures and stuff. There's one of the bases where some of the support pillars for the bridge rest on. There's the helicopter, and yeah, you can tell the difference here between doing a still in motion shot with my old camera versus with the SX540 because you saw on the SX540 basically every shot of the helicopter, the blades looked like they were completely still. Whereas the older camera could not do it that well. So even on the better shots like this one, you would still see kind of a buzzy blur. And there's the tail rotor, ship guns, Yorktown. Yeah, this was a prior trip back in 2017 out to the Yorktown and accompanying vessels. Yeah, I did get some pretty close to still shots of it, but like I said, it was the older camera, so even the more still shots would still be blurring the motion. And I have not looked at chat for a while. Mostly just two and three people as suspected. Run across. I have no idea when you commented that. So what are you referring to? Run across what? Skipping a bit. Yeah, I think that was when my bit rate started like crashing for some reason. It seems okay now. I think this was the most still shot I got with helicopter blades on the old camera. But even then, you can see it's still kind of blurred. And mostly jump past a lot of these because these are basically kind of the same idea as what you saw previously. This was just a different trip using the older camera. Actually, let me go down, skip past that then. Oh yeah, here we go. This was a like little mini air expo thing that I got to go to. I got like a let in basically on the runway while some stuff was going on. So I got to get nice closer shots of aircraft coming in and stuff. It was part of a special event where they were showing some old aircraft. This was a B, the B. I don't know if this was a B-17, I think, or it might have been a B-20 something, but I think it was the B-17 bomber. But yeah, a World War II aircraft. You can see the exhaust vents there, because it was an old piston prop bomber. And some aircraft scattered across the field as they were moving about, because we were basically right next to the runway. They were just kind of trusting us. And there is Charleston Air Force Base's, or at least part of its massive fleet of C-17s. Yeah, the U.S. Part of the U.S.'s like logistical supremacy is just this one, not including the other strategic airlift aircraft we have, like the like the C-130 and the C-5 Galaxy and others. Just the C-17, we have uh, like like I don't know 230 or something of them, and they can haul quite a bit for you, and you can see the milkiness there because it was a really hot day. Some stupid private jets parked about, lame. Boeing 787, I believe that was a 787-10, doing test flights. Yeah, you can tell because it's really elongated. So it was the dash 10, the 787-10 model. So they were doing some test flights of it back then. Random power line shots, random gas price shots to use in videos. Some older car shots because I felt like that was probably one of the last times I was going to be able to catch a car like that. Stuff that was the more common sight back during like my childhood in the 90s and stuff. And then some random grass shots and the like. That's my dad's car. Ooh, the sunrise stuff. This one was really good. These were some of my best sunrise shots. Yeah, just look at the way it's doing like a slow fire tornado up the clouds. These were some of my favorite to get. It slowly uh, forms into like a fire color painting form, basically. Just look at the color arrangement. Yeah, that was out by the power plant because it's near a small reservoir that you can look across. There's some early morning coal smoke. Different trip down to the pier with some more nice like really aesthetic water surface shots. Some water grass. I think I forgot the type. It's a certain type of reed. Carnival cruise ship was docked there that particular day. And here's where it's really showing that it was the old camera and not the SX540 because I would have zoomed much more further in than this if I could. But this was back with my 15 times zoom camera instead of my 50. And cloud shots. All right, we made it to Baltimore. This was the 2017 Baltimore trip. This is the one that Josh missed because this was right after he joined the Air Force. So he was like, he wasn't allowed to like dip some leave time or anything yet. These are some architectural shots I got of the various buildings around Baltimore. Loved getting this one because it had the 6 point sun reflection right on the line, the angle line of that particular building. Oh, the Ravenel Bridge. Oh yeah, I forgot you did that. You did that marathon once or twice. Yeah, architecture shots, the Pandora building with its silver coated, heavily reflective mirror windows. I absolutely love Baltimore. At least the inner harbor, not the hood, obviously, but the inner harbor is nice. And I don't like necessarily like major cities, but there are like a number I want to go to just because I like doing photography in and of itself. But I particularly like architectural photography on top of obviously like natural landscape photography. But in regards of like visiting cities and stuff, I like doing architectural skyscraper photography, and as well as uh, in a major city, obviously there's always going to be a major airport that I can catch the air traffic at. Like if I ever would be able to manage to visit my friends who live in New York City, there's a very nice Crown Plaza resort right at the end of the runway of JFK Airport. So half my time visiting, if I ever got to visit them in New York, would literally just be me, uh, you know, right in the hotel parking lot, just taking shots of the aircraft as they either land or take off, depending on which end of the runway it is. And this is it's called the Light Street building while it was under construction. 441 something Light Street. I forget the exact address. These actually, as a matter of fact, these are my two New Yorker friends. They live in Queens, I think. But yeah, this sorry dude here likes to wear aviator shades because he thinks it makes him look cool or something. These were some of our other friends we were with at the time. This is the inner harbor, or the actual like inner harbor, as in this right here is the water. So this is like the harbor part of the inner harbor. But the inner harbor is just the general area itself, which spans quite a few things. Really caring because there wasn't really anything of like that much value in all of it to me anymore. But I still went each summer like at that time for the sake of for on my end for the sake of visiting Baltimore, but specifically going at that time because a lot of online friends would that I don't like get to see would be obviously in there because they go to the convention at that particular time. So I constantly visited. I still went to Baltimore at that specific time, post 2016. And this was random, but I ran across a dude who had like some really nice model trains. Like yeah, I got some electric ones there with the pantographs, some modern diesel engines with the big vents up top, and old awesome coal-fired steam locomotives, which I do have an affinity for. I love some old steam locomotives. Yeah, and you can even see the coal there. Amtrak, the Amtrak engine, not as strong of an engine, so it doesn't have as huge of an engine like block, so it doesn't have like 50 vents like the big freight engine there does. Instead, the Amtrak engines only have one or two vents to for their diesel exhaust and their and just the fan to cool the engine itself. I got some shots of the water sloping off this fountain here. I couldn't really get stills of like the fountains themselves because this was before I had the SX540, but I was able to get stuff of like the water flowing over. Some of which it kind of almost looks like it's some kind of solid object connecting from the overslope down to the wall. You can really see the contrast between the capabilities of the old Sony camera versus my more modern Canon. You have water sloping over the back of Elias's head. Oh, look, it's that dude. I think I know that dude. And then just random stuff from around the convention center. The Baltimore Convention Center is a really nice building. It's actually decently well kept compared to a number of others that I've been in different cities. Outside the convention center, Baltimore itself is not as well kept. Like there's the 7-Eleven that we'd go to get like our milk and water and snacks and stuff for our stay. The 7-Eleven right near the hotel, the Days Inn Inner Harbor that we usually stay at. That 7-Eleven like right outside the door, there's always like just a pile of heroin needles just like sitting there. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, failures of the old Sony. Some cringy modern art. But this is the upper level like flower garden that's on the outside of the convention center. More of the Pandora building. More stuff inside. Lone Shark Dude. And triangles. One thing you will notice is there are triangles everywhere, which is an indicator that the Baltimore Convention Center is owned by the Illuminati. And some more wandering stuff around Baltimore, except not much because the weather wasn't that nice in the 2017 trip. A lot of the days were like kind of cloudy, and two of them were actually really rainy. So I didn't really get to do that much on that trip. This is the Baltimore train station, and this is back up home in Fairbanks because I believe I flew back like 2 days after. No, no, that's a different year I'm thinking of. I did I just not take any shots between the 2017 trip and when I went back up home? I'm assuming not. This was a bad year. This was the year I was stuck in Wickersham, which is not the best building at UAF. But as always, back up home got a lot of awesome snow shots. And it's you can see like the individual like powdery collection. Couldn't really do that great of a macro close up because it was still the Sony, but not necessarily a close up. But I did get like a good sweep of it where you can still like see the individualism of the all the different flakes that are stacking up to compose it, and then some more of the nice uh, shadows across the powder effect that I love catching. Like especially some of these ones. Some of these ones were my favorite shots. Like out of everything, got the 6 points, the 6 point Sunstar, some nice flat powder, and the shadows like falling cast along the powder. I absolutely love getting these. And then caught it between some different branches so that it was a bit smaller and not as bright. Yes, nice smooth snowscape surface with ooh, really like this one with the shadows falling across it. There's the coal smoke coming from the old power plant. That's the new one. It was just finished in its construction, so it did not get activated until 2018. Some more shots where you can see like the individual snowflakes, the individual like collections of them themselves, and actually you can see the silhouette of the Alaska mountain range down to the south there. The massive pile after the parking lots are cleared. As you see, despite constantly having snow, a lot of the northern states down in the lower 48 uh, don't haven't really learned how to actually like properly manage it. The way you do it, if you're going to get a lot of snow, is the way we do it back up home in Alaska, which is you you clear it as it's falling. You constantly clear it as it is falling. You don't sit there like buffalo for 2 days and wait until 3 feet of snow have fallen and then go around trying to plow it away. Like that's like you shouldn't even need experience to tell you that that approach is like mind-numbingly stupid. Why would you try that? You clear it as it's falling. And our other trick is that we don't use snowplows. We don't use pickup trucks with a plow put on the front of them. We use construction vehicles, heavy equipment like front loaders and street graders. Some more powdery snowscape, powdery snowscape. There we go. There's some coal smoke. Yeah, the power plant was just done. The new one, I mean, which this one was built way back in the 50s. So this one is much more modern and is far more efficient. Like it has all the new types of sealing and insulation and stuff, and electrical management. So the old power plant for UAF was able to heat the general UAF area and produce 8 megawatts of power while consuming roughly 200 tons of coal a day, whereas the new power plant is able to produce 12 megawatts of power and heat the via the waste steam piping through a duct system underground into the buildings, heat the entire UAF area while only needing 160 or 170 tons of coal a day. So able to do 50% more while only needing about 80% as much of the amount of coal to do so. But I also loved getting coal smoke plume shots, especially especially when you can see its initial not yet formation here, where it's kind of just all hazy. And also shots like this. I loved getting ones like this, catching the sun right through the back of it, because the energy being released here did originate there. It fell upon plants, which stored it in chemical form, which then in cataclysmic mass die-off and then flooding slash sedimentary burial events were buried and compacted before they themselves could break down and use that chemical energy. So now we're using that chemical energy. But I loved getting shots like this, sunlight through the coal smoke. Here's one of my absolute favorites too. You guys have probably seen me use this as the end screen for videos a lot of times, actually, because I just love it so much. The sunset colors forming along this opening, this awkward, almost looking like a piece of torn cardboard opening in the Fairbanks cloudscape. Then some night shots of some snow piles where you can see it glistening in the nightlight. There you can really catch the individual glistening. It's a shot inside Wickersham, which was the worst dorm. Completely lacked the soundproofing that the other ones have. Then some early dawn coal smoke plumes. You can see what I mean here in winter back up home. The sun, because you're at such a high latitude and inclined away in the middle of winter, the sun starts on the southern horizon and ends on the southern horizon. It kind of just comes above the southern horizon about up to here and just like arcs a little bit and then goes right back down there. So it was just coming up over there. So this was some dawn smoke plumes and contrasted with the mountains in the background. They might look close, but that Alaska range, those mountains down there, they're just so huge that you can see them, even though those are literally 80 miles away from where I was standing. Yeah, you can even see the mountain range silhouetted with the upcoming dawn sunlight. And then some winter wonderland Narnia shots with the mountains as well. Back to my lovely coal smoke and some more close-ups of it. Where actually, as it's emerging from the plume stack, it almost kind of looks like clear, transparent fire, like transparent flames, until it actually clearly forms into coal smoke. There's the not yet, at least when I took this picture, it wasn't yet in use. There's the smoke plume stack for the new power plant. Yeah, because they were still finishing some stuff up over there. There's some dawn lit snow. And here's a chat that I'm going to check. Nothing new. Okay. Yeah. Grand total of two is about what I was expecting. Mountain range off to the far south. Nice shining Arctic sunrise there, and the nuclear explosion version of it. And there's some of like the tall, wild, wheat-esque grass trying to stick its way up through the snow. More smoke plume stuff, catching the sun through the trees up on top of the University Hill here, with a spread of different tree shadows being cast across the snow. And then some methy footprint-laden snow, which I contributed to. Some of my coworkers, or my former coworkers at least, because that was back when I had a job. The bus system, which I really miss having. Yeah, this is some really early morning stuff, because sunrise in the middle of winter back up home is around like 10:30 or 11 a.m. in the morning. So this was around like 8 a.m. or so. I went out to Walmart and then over to Fred East. Some dark light shots of some of the lamps around the university, the outside lamps, I mean, with their like it almost looks like they're wearing a beret made out of snow, basically. Ooh, and there's some lights literally underneath the snow, so this is glow snow. There's my shadow falling across. This is these are our roads in the winter. There's an actual like road and pavement under there, but enough embedded crushed snow and uh, ice and stuff forms that you basically get a layer of caked ice that becomes the road for the duration of winter. So for about 8 months out of the year. And here you can see all these speckles. That is traction sand or gravel that is scattered across it, which allows any vehicle to drive perfectly fine across it, which is what which is how you actually handle snow and ice properly, as opposed to the lower 48 states, which apparently spread salt across it to like melt it and not and try to prevent it from freezing as easily, which is kind of dumb because if it salt lowers the freezing temperature, but if it goes low enough, then it's still going to freeze, and you're still going to have the same issue anyways. And also, you're contaminating your local water supply by constantly salinating it, as all that snow and ice eventually melts and takes the salt into the water supplies. Whereas here, if you spread traction sand, you don't have the slickness problem. You solve that problem. And if it's a warmer period, like at the start or end of winter, and stuff melts and then refreezes, then it refreezes with the traction sand and gravel in there, which will not let it like freeze properly. So it'll freeze broken and jagged, which will thus also give traction. So you prevent both problems. It's more the bus system, gray line in the night, blue line in the night. And by the night, I mean past 2 p.m. I think this was at like 4 or 5. I was gonna go down to the store. The edge of a snow beret hanging off the street lamp. Icicles included, also obviously. And inside the buses, with up front here, we have the elevated tall people seats. So that was one of my usual preferred spaces. Then you have some nice old orange slash yellow glow light casting onto some snow. And with these rings around this one particular lamp here, and the way the glow comes from inside it, it almost looked like a starship nuclear furnace or something. So that's why I took so many shots of it. And some cloudscape also. And then this was a trip down at Christmas of 2017 slash winter of 2018. Dash Q. This was at Seattle with a sunrise coming up with like their smaller mountains, which look about the same size as ours in these shots because they're only like 10 miles away from the airport. These were a bunch of shots from Seattle Airport, Delta CRJ. It's nice. I like the play of the lighting in these ones, casting over, giving people orange outlines around their silhouettes from the sunrise. I think that's Mount Rainier. At least I believe that was it. Those are the mountains surrounding Seattle. There's a nice sun stripe crossing the Delta Aero logo. Alaska. I don't actually like Alaska Airlines. Not a lot of us do. They're actually kind of bad. But I like seeing them in my pictures because it gives me the feeling of like going home. 787s, Yemen Air. Uh, yeah, that was landing, I think. They just landed. Southwest rolling in, Delta, some early dawn tree silhouette shots at my parents' place, and some power line silhouette stuff. Yeah, there's the disorganized mess of power lines there. Jesse, I think these were some of the final shots that I took of Jesse because then I went back up to Fairbanks a few weeks before she died. Square of sunshine in my room. I think this is the best shot, particularly cast in through the window. Random cloudscape stuff, parents' electric meter. Uh, this is mostly stuff meant for videos because it's a lot of infrastructure type stuff. Some random trees. One of the rare occasions where uh, South Carolina actually repaved some of their roads. So I caught the rarity on camera, taking a shot of it after it had been repaved. Some tree bark, the actual inside of a cut down tree. one of my former shoes, made in Vietnam, like I usually try to get my shoes from, because shoes made in Vietnam, at least regular sneakers, regular people, peasant shoes, the Vietnam makes the best quality ones. They last the longest. Ones from China will fall apart in like a year. Ones from Indonesia are okay. They'll usually last for about 2 years. But the ones from Vietnam usually last me. What? Get out of my face! I don't care about your Windows update. The ones from Vietnam usually last me like 4 or 5 years. Cloudscapes, some wavy cloudscape there, and a bird. Really fat bird. Not, I don't think those are cherries. I forgot what kind of berries those are, but a few of the trees like around my parents' place just randomly grow that type of berry. A different type of tree bark. Got four contrails at once, and that's where it's going to freeze on me. Uh, Still two, no new chat. Proceed onwards. Right, where did it freeze up? Right there. Yeah, so those were the last three shots I took of Jessie while she was chilling in the mushroom chair in my room. Right, proceeding from there, stuff at Atlanta Airport, looking down the top span of a MD-88, which unfortunately have all been retired now. But yeah, there's the old JT8 engine of the MD-88. MD-88 climbing up into the sunlight. MD-88 rolling by. Very, for some reason, very British looking first officer walking around checking the aircraft. Delta A321, I think that was. Delta Boeing 717, you can tell because the engine is different. It's wider and shorter on the 717s. Right. Loading luggage. I think I also caught the dude uh, crawling under there. 757, one of my favorite aircraft. My particular favorite version of it is the 757-300. More Deltas rolling by because basically Atlanta is just Delta. Delta up and away. Always follow the red arrow. Yeah, there he is. So to get in there and actually arrange stuff on the smaller aircraft, they literally actually have to like crawl down and like at almost not as low as like the military crawling under barbed wire thing, but pretty low, like inside the actual like cargo holds, like they're on their hands and knees crawling around that like that. Delta pushback, Southwest, the rare 1 in 20 planes that isn't Delta Airlines at Atlanta. Loved how this shot of the nose came out for some reason. Delta nose. There's the pitot tubes. There's a big chunky Delta 777. I do not remember which one this was. I think this one was heading to South Korea, but it might have been the one heading to South Africa. I'm not sure. The Delta Arrow on a T-tail. of an old MD-88, all of which are now gone, at least from Delta. There's a few in like service. There's a few still in service, like over in Iran, but obviously I'm not going to be going on any of those. Old MD-88 wing, MD-88 airflow slope. All the oldies from older, better times. Actually, shorter, fatter engines. That's probably a 717. Got shots of this guy for each step of the way as he was coming in, and then another one. Parking space. Uh, Based on the nose shape, that's an A320 or an A321. That is an A321. You can tell because of both the nose shape and the stretch. Southwest American in the old American Airlines. That's the old American Airlines livery from like the 90s and back. Yeah, I like their older livery pattern. Just like I don't like United Airlines, but I do like United Airlines previous colors, their old livery patterns that they had up until I think like the mid 2000s is when they changed it. I still would never use them. I don't like United Airlines itself, but I do like their old previous colors from back in the old days. More aircraft nose shots. This was a 757. And then up in Seattle, these were sunset shots through some clouds. There's a dash Q rolling in and making the turn. Or not? Oh, well, I guess I changed. Oh, yeah, because there was a 777 that was taking off right then. Asiana Airlines is another Korean airline that's a massive 777. And then back up home. This was actually a unique shot too, because it was like literally all white, because it was cloud cover, but with the sun kind of coming through, snow everywhere, and then the coal smoke. So it was an actual. It's like an all white shot, but in different ways. Uh, so everything's still distinguishable. And then there's some weird blue color there. Or was that where the sun was? Okay, yeah, I think that's where the sun was. The snow starting to gather up there, hitting the 3 to 4 foot mark on the pile buys. As this was in late January, so this is midwinter. Yeah, you can really see it there, stacked on top of the picnic tables. Nice, falls in and forms nice, like perfect, like straight wall, rectangular, almost like basically snow slabs that sit on top of any flat surface. Like the lighting in this one. Oh, look, there's a trail of footprints. I wonder who made that. Maybe it was the photographer. Here you can really, really see the smoothness of the snow. Some early morning, negative 30 degrees, Fahrenheit, that is, negative 30 degrees, parking lot shots out near Walmart. And then already jump over. This was my trip down to visit my parents in the summer of 2018. I didn't take a lot of shots between going back up home in 2018 and coming back up down. because that was after Jesse had died. So I was like really depressed for like months after that. This is a Hawaiian Airlines A330. You can tell if you don't know how to recognize aircraft like too easily, you can tell because a lot of the A330s have the closed funnel engine. Well, and it also just says Airbus A330 on the side. Oh yeah, they were doing that. They were spending 2 years like renovating the Seattle like observation area. It was not finished in summer 2019. That was a lie. They were still working on it, but you know, uh, I never got to actually like make use of it because I never got to go through there after it was finished. Because after I came down in 2020, basically never went home after that. Actually, literally never went home after that because then 2020 happened. You can see the drag air there over the wings of that Southwest. There's some Alaska. There's some more air over the wings there. There's a Dash Q revving up its turboprop engines. There's a Dash Q not revving its turboprop engines. Dash Q heading away. FedEx. Uh, that normally they use 767s, but that's a closed funnel engine. So actually, that might be a rare A330 freighter aircraft. They don't really use A330s for freight, at least not commonly. 757 heading up with the drag air haze. Southwest. Uh, Down in Atlanta, obviously, as you're seeing the Delta spam. So Delta is just rolling around. MD-88s, you can literally see like the soot coming from the MD-88 engine of that one taking off in the distance because that's how old the JT8 engine designs are. They're from the 60s. So, they're being retired for a reason, but still, I'm going to miss them. But for example, the sheer fuel efficiency difference between the MD-88 with the old JT8 engine, a combination of the old JT8 engine and the weight of the MD-88 is that the MD-88 had a fuel consumption of around 2.2 gallons per mile, whereas the aircraft that has largely replaced it now, the A220 or CS100, CS200, carries the same amount of passengers and cargo, but weighs a fair deal less because we make use of a lot of carbon fiber and special boron fiberglass now, and also more computerized, efficient, and high bypass engines. So the aircraft that has replaced it, that carries the same amount of freight and passengers, the A220, is able to burn at a rate of only about 1.7 gallons per mile, sometimes as low as 1.6, as opposed to 2.2. There's MD-88 engines from the rear as one was backing out. And someday, oh yeah, I loved getting these shots of just an endless row of delta tails. Delta, delta, delta. Respect the arrow. Delta rolling, delta pushback, disconnect. He's about to head out. And there's the massive secret underground highway that airports have for all the vehicles to go like to and fro with. That way they don't have to like drive around all the terminal buildings and in between them. They usually just have like semi underground highways that they use. Oh, you can barely see it, but look at this dude's this senior like uh, luggage directing official. Look, you can see his commanding mustache. Look at that. You can see it. Respect the stash, people. Respect it. And here it was starting to get stormy right before I was getting on my flight. Oh, there's a massive one. There's a Delta 777. Because of the time, I believe this is the one. This was the flight going to South Africa. Yep, there's the rain streaking on the windows. I enjoyed getting some of these. The engine fully spooled up, sucking the rain in and not carrying at all. And you can see like the rain streaks there, and you can see individual droplets gathered there. And they had the door open there for some reason. And these were some of the first shots I ever took of Bindi, because this was right after my parents had gotten her. So she was very young in these. She was only 1 year old, I believe, a little bit over 1 year old. You see her eyes, she's getting alert. She saw something. Oh, and her, you even see, sorry for the blurriness in this one, but you can see her mouth starting to drift open. So she had really seen something. She was stretching her kitty paws. She has kitten mittens, white paw tips. We refer to them as kitten mittens. And there she did a flop. Uh, Bindi does like to roll around like a flop of fish, whereas Jessie was very like regal and elegant and well kept and mannered. She would do like the bread loaf position, the stretched out paws, perfectly still position. Bindi, like I said, is kind of like a toddler, an energetic toddler. So oftentimes she'll roll up and show her stomach, and she'll go from side to side doing like the kitty cat flippy fish. Bindi, close up of the little sleepy kitty nose, and a few early morning shots walking around, trying to get the sun behind some power lines. And then I believe a lot of what came after this, like these, was just like infrastructure stuff that I was going to use for videos. That is a special type of freight aircraft that is specifically meant to transport components of other aircraft. Yeah, a lot of these were going to be like, with the exception of some of like the sun behind the power line stuff, a lot of these ones when I was roaming around that particular morning was stuff to get infrastructure shots to use in videos and traffic shots to use in videos also obviously. Yeah, traffic shots, stuff for videos, so you can see the individual LED diodes in there. But traffic stuff to use in videos. Yep, got all three. I got the transition set: green, yellow, stop. More traffic, gas price signs to use in videos, obviously. Goose Creek is the actual, like, specific town that my parents live in and that I am by proxy trapped in. Mess of power lines going down there. So yeah, this was still stuff for videos. Newspaper, because newspapers are almost like out of circulation in a lot of places. So I was taking some like some what's the proper term? Uh, I forget the proper term, but like uh, I guess documenting shots. for newspapers for while they still exist. Some bright, blinding sunlight. One of seconds to the heat is probably my least favorite feature of being stuck down in the southern U.S. There's extra wide Bindi lurking in the door. Blinding sun, blinding sun, less blinding sun. Dragonfly! Oh, I loved getting these. I got some nice close-up shots of a dragonfly. I don't think I got any closer. Oh no, I did. I did get closer. Look at that magnificent specimen. I love these guys specifically because they are wasp hunters. They kill my most despised enemies. Although if I have to, like I said, I no longer am phobic of wasps. I will engage them directly in hand-to-hand combat with a flip-flop. My neighbor or my parents' neighbor Donnie's motorcycle, Bindi on her back under the couch, doing a flopsy kitty. Ooh, I forgot about these ones. I got even more close-ups of another dragonfly. There's the hill in a particular park. Back when we were younger, me and Josh used to roll down this hill. Yeah, it's not too steep, but it's not too shallow. So it's a really fun hill to roll down. It's basically perfect for it. I think that was a random turtle, and these are just areas in that particular park. Uh, I believe it's called Wanamaker Park. Random F-16 that was flying overhead. One of Bindi's various cat towers. Some blur slash still mix shots of the porch fan. Bindi being Bindi. And of course, she goes into flop a fish mode. Some clouds, not too great. Some more cloud shots, better than the other ones at least. Yeah, that's a bit overkill. Let me delete that. Bindi under the couch again. And of course, the moment I pay attention to her, she flops and flips over. It's a Bindi kitty, and there she was moving her foot around, so it looks like she's thumping it. Look at that kitty face. I got some close-up shots of her cat paws with her pink kitty toes, and she literally has fur coming between her toes. Bindi, Bindi, Bindi. And there she's doing her T-Rex arms. Close up, close up. Some more clouds. I think right after this is the 2018 Baltimore trip. Bindi being a lurker in the doorway. Look at how like up angled she has her ears. Like she is so predatory. Yep, there's Baltimore. There's the four. I think it's 4011 Light Street building. I'm not sure. That's it after it was complete. Two or three. Yeah, you do American, I do Delta, or at least I used to when I was able to go anywhere. Uh, my uncle does United, which he's putting himself at risk, but he does United. Although he used to do Continental, but then Continental ceased to exist and became part of United. So Did a bunch of architecture shots around Baltimore, obviously, like I always do. This building was having some work done on it. Yeah, there's the Light Street building. The Lupin building, whatever this building is, I can never remember. Oh, wait, no, I forgot. The Light Street building was not actually complete yet. They were still working on that particular glass facade. There we go. There's some better shots. There's the inner harbor, or again, the inner part of the inner harbor. The duck. I got this duck to pose for me quite a bit. Took a number of different shots. Every time I deal with animals in photography, they're always like super cooperative. Yeah, they still had to get that particular facade, because that one, unlike the other portions next to it, that's the darker blue. It's the same type of darker blue glass that you see there and there. So they were still installing those. This was up in, oh no, it's that guy. This was up in the observation deck of the Baltimore World Trade Center building, which gives you a nice view all around. There's the aquarium, more triangles, more Illuminati. They have the viewfinders you can use. I just take photography shots though. Obviously, there's some of the ferries that you can take around the harbor. There's the Light Street building and some of the older brickwork buildings that it's next to. Also, water taxis again. Some infrastructure shots that I've used in videos a few times. Mess of highway overpasses and stuff with traffic on them. Parking lots used in videos. I forget what that hotel is, but that's a big hotel. And just some of the Baltimore scape gradually making its way outwards away from the inner harbor. And this is outside of the World Trade Center building, and some shots angled straight up it. Oh, wait, looks like they were still working a little bit on the roof too. I didn't realize that. Those are actually some of the surviving pieces of steel from the World Trade Center site in New York that are not the giant propeller, obviously, but those that are put there in this like small memorial park next to the Baltimore Trade Center building. You can see some of the guys up there working on it, and they have an old World War II sub docked there, the USS Torsk. Yeah, you can see the angle down of the blue stripe on the back. They still have to install, or when I took this in 2018, they still had to install those dark blue glass panels on the front in a similar downward stripe. So that's why they had all that tarp hanging down, because they were still doing that, or because that section was still open, exposing the inside to the outside. Yeah, that's the Light Street building. Nice colors, nice pattern, also very reflective because, again, as with many skyscrapers, the glass is coated with an external layer of silver. And that's not one of the huge uses of silver. Like, for example, for this building, despite how huge it is, the amount of silver actually embedded in the glass of those windows to make it that reflective. The amount of silver in that whole building is usually for that size is still only going to amount to like maybe 40 or 50 pounds or so, I think. So it's not one of like the gargantuan uses of silver. The primary like mega consuming uses are for industrially are for electronics, for soldering alloys. Not separately, the silver is used in electronics as like in components of the computer and in contacts and stuff, and it is also used in soldering alloys. And its biggest thing now is solar panels, because a third of an ounce is needed for every square meter of solar panel. We've got uh, some play of light shots here with the reflected lights off the windows of I think it was that building. It might have been a different one falling upon the Bank of America building there. Random Baltimore moonshots with some unique colors. The Pandora building at night, and then some gradually darkening street lamp pics. The tram system. They're very unique, big tube lights that light the public parks at night. More shots of the Pandora building at night. Random city street shots at night. Inside the convention center. Yeah, by 2018, or sorry, by 2017, actually, I was already mostly done with the like convention. I was primarily like visiting just to go to Baltimore, but I was always going to visit at the convention because that's when like all my friends were going to happen to obviously be there. So I did go in though. I cheated. I went in and used the convention center as an air conditioning, but like for the sake of cooling myself. Uh, and so I would just like dip in and stuff, and also like cheat distance instead of walking because the convention center is huge. It spans a huge area. So I would keep myself cool. I would enter one area and travel the direction I was going in through the convention center and exit the other area, instead of traveling like almost a mile outside in the hot Baltimore summer. Although of course when I exited, I was then still in the hot Baltimore summer, obviously. But if I could skip a mile of it, I'm going to do it. Actually, I cut through various other buildings that half the time I'm not sure I was like supposed to, but nobody stopped me. So yeah, the lighting on this day wasn't the greatest. Triangle, Illuminati alert. Street shots to use in videos. Then more stuff of the Light Street building. But again, the lighting wasn't that good that day. Cloud cover was kind of ruining it. Although I did like the reflections of the clouds on the Light Street building, though. So I was able to get some of that. But overall, with a lot of other stuff, the lighting situation that day wasn't all that great. Then some street shots to use in videos. Shiny looking straight up the Light Street building. So full verticals. There's the Baltimore Visitor Center. And yeah, there's the tarp that they had covered over the stuff. There's a view across the harbor from where the visitor center is. You can see the aquarium and some of those hotels over there. There's an old Revolutionary War ship. Uh, Cannons no longer usable, obviously. There's a Baltimore State Trooper helicopter. I don't know what was going on or who they were coming after, but something was going on. There's the Museum of Science that I went inside but did not go through because it cost money. Yeah, look at those beautiful translucent blues. Here is the hill, the battery hill, I believe it's called, in near Baltimore or near the Inner Harbor, which was an old like fort area back in the Revolutionary slash Civil War times, which had like cannon mounts and everything, and got some shots of the Inner Harbor buildings and stuff from across the harbor on the Battery Hill. Got some flag waving in the sunshine stuff. Some random, I don't know what Leg Mason is, but some random office building. Some random dudes playing basketball. Gradually making my way up the hill. More flag in motion shots, more shots across the harbor to the Inner Harbor cityscape. There's that state trooper helicopter again. Yeah, this was one of the few times that my old Sony camera was actually able to get good still shots of rotor blades. And then just some regular architectural shots. There's a nice reflection of the clouds on the Pandora building. That was a really nice one to get. Some street and traffic shots to use in videos. Uh, their their like clock tower building that they have. Got some shots of that. And some more street shots, traffic shots. I think that's a hotel. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, that's the stupid like overpriced hotel that's attached to the convention center. That's not worth the money it charges. That's like 2 or 3 times as expensive as the Inner Harbor Days Inn that we always stay at. Uh, and the Inner Harbor Days Inn actually like is worth the prices that this hotel charges, whereas this hotel is like not even worth the really low rates that the Inner Harbor Days Inn charges. Pigeon, and this was a pigeon just perusing around because someone dropped a bunch of their peanuts, so the pigeon was having a munching session. Munchity munch munch. And obviously, you can tell from the attention I'm getting, he became aware that I was photographing, as all animals do, and then always give me a bunch of different poses. More Pandora shots. Oh, yeah, loved this one. This is the sky bridge that connects from the convention center to that not worth its money hotel. Don't like the hotel. Like the sky bridge though, because I liked these shots. I just like the look of them. The track lines for the trams. More Pandora building. More Pandora building. And street traffic to use in videos. The trapezoidal upsloping shapes that leads up to that terrace. There is the flower garden that I showed you in the shots from 2017's trip. that's on the upper level just outside of the convention center. More Light Street building from the completed side, that is. Shiny, shiny blue. And then I think one of the ones I really liked is up, yeah, here. I loved these. Because these I don't know what they were called, but it reminds me of those what were they called? Those books that used to be around when I was a kid. That we had some of them. I think they were called like I Spy books or whatever. But they were always of like a mess of like items in a setting for like kids to try to find in the pictures of the book. But they always like had the lighting adjusted and like items to where like the colors had this really unique blend. And for some reason, this like really reminds me of those things. Some sun bouncing off there. The all black building with no name. So I'm assuming this is the Illuminati's building there. Some random modern art sculpture stuff for, I guess, metal cast sculptures. This building that is reflecting the clouds around it, but in a way, basically, you can see it kind of it almost looks like it's like transparent, like you're kind of looking through it. A few more shots. I think this is the just about the end of this folder. And it looks like we're going to have to break this into a part three sometime in the future because I guess I underestimated how many shots I've taken. I thought it was only like 20,000. Starting to look like it was probably something closer to maybe 25 or 30,000. Is that the last one I got? Maybe? Oh no, it was some bank building. The way the emblem was shaped, I thought it was like it looked like some like stupid football logo, so I thought it was like a football building. Yeah, it looks like that's almost or that's the end of that particular folder. Uh, we'll look at like a few last things in the next folder, which will be the one for part three, I guess, which will be the final one. But yeah, there were just a few more shots I got in on that Baltimore trip that carried over into this folder. That's the tower from an old ammunition factory back in the Revolutionary and Civil Wars. That was where they made first regular musket balls and then musket rifle balls. The factory itself is gone. The building is the only thing that's still standing. Or sorry, the tower is the only part of it that's still standing. Random traffic. I've used some of these in videos before. There's a C5 Galaxy way, way out in the distance somewhere. Up there comes the landing gear. And then just some airport stuff in Atlanta as I was. Oh, you guys have seen me use that one a lot. But as I was heading back up home for the 2018-2019 university year, which would be my last full length working year. And these were in Seattle. Had a nice glint of sunshine shining off the roof of that Southwest 737. Pull it back, and ew, United. I forgot that was United. Ooh, love these ones. This is a good set right here. I got a British 747 pulling in, making its big wide turn, and turning. There we go. We get a full front on face, and you get a gleam off the wings there. Semi silhouetted takeoff of a Southwest. And here, British Airways turns again, and we get a semi-front facial again. Alaska Airlines taking off in the background there. And the 747 comes into dock. Delta ERJ. There we go. There's my boy. The 757-300. The super stretch. Second only in my favorite aircraft list to the A340-600. And he's getting pushed back, and for some reason I diverted attention over there. And there's a Delta A330, dash Q turboprop, turning the other way. And here's an approaching 757. Iceland Air. Was this a 300 or a 200? Not sure. ERJ coming in, dash Q, and home. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cut it there then, just since I again underestimated how many shots I have. Okay, that is the end, thankfully. So that's it for this. Thank you, those few of you who were here. And thank you, Nebraska, if you watch this later, for giving me $5 again. But that will be it for this one. So I will see you all around next.